Hi everyone, my name is Liz. This is my very first YouTube video. Very glad to have you here. Today I want to do a tour on all of my anthuriums and I want to talk about how I grow all of them in ambient. Yeah, so obviously I'm not very used to talking in front of the camera and I realize I'm having a hard time recording everything in one pass. So I might edit this later. So I just want to warn you ahead of that. But anyways, let's get started. So starting off with the big plants, this is a very common but beautiful anthurium crystallinum. I got her as a one-leaf seedling about a year and a half ago and she's just become massive. And she also spits out another like 2 leaves at once whenever she grows a new leaf, and this one is just slightly smaller. Overall, I'd say she's very easygoing, especially in ambient. And this crispiness is actually not because of low humidity, but because I just go through phases of not being interested in my plants anymore, so I kind of like skip waterings on accident. And I'd say this is pretty forgiving considering that the soil was like almost completely dry when I remembered to water her. I'm sorry. So this is one of my very first anthuriums I got 2 years ago, and actually what got me into anthuriums, I got her from a local Facebook marketplace seller. This is the anthurium FTG crystallinum. FTG stands for Fairchild Tropical Gardens. Hello, I'm just adding a quick note. Here's my dog, and here's a better view of my room plus my plants. It looks so much cuter than at the beginning. Okay, right. Okay. What else do you want to tell them? Okay, where was I? This does not look like a lot of growth for 2 years, and that's because it's not. When I first got this plant, I didn't know much about anthuriums, and there was a lot of information out there, and for some reason, I just believed that light wasn't as important as fertilizer or humidity. And my old house did not have any proper south or west facing windows where I could place this plant, so I put it like in a kind of north facing area, and it didn't get any direct sunlight at all, so it just got very little light. And I just assumed it was a slow grower because it took about a year to give me a new leaf. And as you can see behind me, I moved here last June, and it has a very nice window slash sliding door that faces towards the west. And ever since I moved all these plants here, they've just all taken off and just became really fast growers, especially this FTG, who has just started giving me a new leaf every 1 to 2 months. So learn from my mistakes, give your plant proper light. If it's like during the winter or if you don't have any proper windows like I did at my old place, I would recommend grow lights. Okay, so it's dark out already, and I just finished recording and editing the first portion of the video, and I'm starting to realize that this is a lot more work than what I had originally signed up to, especially because this is my first time doing it, so I feel like I'm just not as prepared or well equipped. So what I'm going to do to shorten down this video is I'm just going to display my biggest anthuriums and also my favorite anthuriums, so hopefully I can get this out faster. This one is a cross between the Bessier Af and the Pink Lady. I originally got it because the ears were so cute and they're like folded back and they kind of remind me of little bunnies, so I originally got it. The ears are a little bit different on the newest leaf, but I feel like it's looking more like a Bessier along with like the tall ears, and it has like the Pink Lady texture. Overall, this plant is a lot more forgiving compared to the velvet leaf anthuriums, and I had accidentally let this dry out, like almost like I'm pretty sure completely dry out on multiple occasions, and it just really hasn't crisped up as much. Obviously it does get a little bit crispy, but obviously it was happy enough to give me a new leaf. So overall, I love this plant, and it's very easygoing and very forgiving. All right, this next plant is also very forgiving too. It doesn't really crisp up as much unless I like totally forget to water it, so the edges look pretty good, minus slight crisping from the time where I obviously forgot to water it. This is a hybrid between the Dock Block Michelle and the Ace of Purple and the red crystal. It's got slightly Michelle traits where it comes out like very purple slash pink and the leaves darken to a slightly black, not black, but like a darker leaf texture. I like this plant a lot. The leaves are kind of just growing in all directions, and I'm just sort of letting it grow before, yeah, I'm just sort of letting it grow out. But yeah, overall, love this plant. Very easy going. Here's another Dock Block hybrid I have. This was just simply sold to me as the Dock Block X hat. So I'm not sure what kind of Dock Block, but I definitely see the traits of Dock Block. The leaves come out super red and then it darkens into like black. And this plant is super forgiving. I've rotted it twice already since the time I got it like a year ago, and every time it's bounced back. As you can see, it did get like thrips for a while, but it still bounced back. So I definitely have to say from experience, I love Dock Blocks and its hybrids. I've never owned like a pure Dock Block yet, maybe one day, but all Dock Block hybrids I've had have been very forgiving and very easy to grow. This one is my Anthurium antilocii, previously known as the BVEP. This seedling was a cross between Grant's antilocii called the BVEP Brown and then Juan's antilocii called the BBL. So their antilocii were very round, so I'm hoping this one will turn out rounder when it matures. It's still kind of a seedling. It's got a little crispy because, you know, obviously I forgot to water it. This is a very common theme, and actually a big reason why I'm setting up the irrigation system, because hopefully if I automate that, it'll be easier when I hit those like periods where I'm just too busy to be able to focus on my plants. Anyways, I really like the velvety texture of this, and yeah, it's a very easygoing plant. I don't have much to say about this. I got this a year ago and it's just given me 4 new leaves, and it's pretty fast. It's a pretty fast grower, so I'm very excited about this one. Here is my Carla. She's also a seedling and I recently acquired her, but she is very cute. And I don't remember the cross names, but it's on here. The seller actually was kind enough to write it down for me. It's a NSE Carla crossed with the Carla A2 and RA7. I will put it on screen. I don't think it'll focus. Okay, anyways, it doesn't matter that much. I just love this Carla and I'm very excited to see how it grows. One thing that I find very exciting about collecting seedlings is that you never know what the mature leaf will look like until it grows. So it's like this like waiting game slash surprise. It's kind of like the lottery, but it takes a long time. This one is still a tiny baby, and I actually just recently acquired this, but it just has been one of my favorite anthuriums. The leaves are just so ruffly. This is an anthurium who crossed with the red crystallinum. Obviously the ruffles is a very unique trait about it, and the leaves come out red, and it's still like a seedling, but you can see that the veining pattern is looks like that of a who. I also have an anthurium who right here, so the veining, the patterns look pretty similar, so I'm just very excited about this one because it's like the best of both worlds. Also this one too, this is my anthurium who. This is the only one that's in moss right now, and I plan to transfer this into my chunky potting mix. All right, the last anthurium that I'm going to show for today is also another seedling, but I think it's going to size up nicely. I also got this from a local plant nursery, and the owner actually wanted me to update him on how this will turn out because it's a very interesting cross. This is a cross between the hybrid of Forgetii and Crystallinum X Dresslery. So I'm very excited. I feel like the Dresslery color is showing. To be honest, I have never seen a Dresslery in real life, so I'm not quite sure what they look like, but I definitely have seen a Forgetii and a Crystallinum in real life, so excited to see the traits. So I want to talk about potting mix real quick. So personally, I like to keep my anthuriums in a chunky potting mix with soil. The soil I use is Happy Frog soil, and a big reason why is because I find that soil works best with worm castings, and I have a worm bin. This bin is not very cute, but it's full of live red wigglers. A big reason why I like to keep worms is because I love practicing sustainability. So aside from my big compost bin at home plus my worm bin, I also like to plant my anthuriums in plastic containers that I would usually toss. So here is my anthurium pap crossed with the red vein dark phoenix. And the container is not that cute. I had to split it when I had repotted the previous anthurium, but I cut like kind of crude holes on the side, and like it's not that cute, but I prefer this because otherwise this would go into the landfill or somewhere else, and it also just saves me money from having to buy orchid pots. So my potting mix consists of chunky perlite, a little bit of sphagnum moss and cocoa husk, a little bit of soil and worm castings. I find that potting mix is very dependent on your environment and also your watering habits. A big important thing to note is that you should keep consistent humidity / moisture in the anthurium roots, so don't let it dry out, but don't let the potting mix be so compact that it will cause root rot. So when you water an anthurium, the water should just drain through and not sit at the bottom, if that makes sense. I find that the biggest challenge I faced when growing my anthuriums in ambient humidity was definitely that they are not as tolerant towards a missed watering schedule, so watering consistency is very important, obviously, as you can see with my plants. However, my workaround towards that is setting up an irrigation system, and I'll probably make an update video to see how that works out. Okay, so just a quick tour of my irrigation system. It pulls water from this bucket that I thrifted. I'm hoping that I only need to refill this bucket every few weeks or so. And I don't want to turn it on right now because I have been blasting my plants with too much water tonight by just setting this up, but I am going to set up to run every 72 hours, so every 3 days for a minute straight. Part of why I was blasting my plants so much is because I wanted to see how much water a minute was. And so yeah, it will just slowly drip water for like a minute, and it's currently connected to all my big plants. I'm gonna run it for like a month or so before setting up another solar panel irrigation system for my smaller plants, just because if anything goes wrong, my big plants will definitely be more forgiving than my smaller plants. Also, I got a solar panel irrigation system just because my plant lights are taking up all the outlet space, as you can see, but there are like battery / electricity powered irrigation systems. And I'll show you how that works. I'll turn this on and it'll just drip a little bit of water for like a minute. Alright, so that's the end of my plant tour. Thank you so much for watching. I'm hoping that I can continue to provide updates in the future. So that'll be all. Thank you. Take care.